Hello everyone. When it comes to pistons, surely all of us think that making it is an extremely difficult process and requires modern machinery. But here our talented guys do not need modern machinery, they just need an experienced hand and the most rudimentary equipment. Let's join me in today's video to see how they complete the pistons that are put into the machine. The first thing the worker needs to do is to mix the soil with the oil. The soil here is not far away, it is everywhere, on the road, in the fields. He poured the soil and oil into the mixer. Look, I don't see any protective gloves. He still confidently put his hand in and checked the porosity of the soil. The purpose of pouring the oil in is to prevent the soil from sticking when we cast the piston. Next, the old piston was used as a prototype and a layer of foam was added to the outside to cover the grooves on the piston. Then, he coated the foam with a layer of oil to prevent sticking. The two large holes of the piston were also plugged with the oil-mixed soil to prevent molten metal from overflowing. Piston is coated with white dry powder and ready for molding. Piston is coated with white dry powder and ready for molding. Then he used his own feet to press it into the mold. What a fun process! The excess soil on the surface was also quickly scraped off by him and covered with a layer of fine powder and compressed with a simple metal wall. The underside of the mold was also turned over and covered with a layer of fine powder. The fourth mold is the same. He builds it up. This time he adds another tube. What is its purpose we will see later. Continue. He uses his feet to press the soil into the mold. Its surface is also he used a round metal bar and compressed it. This is the result. Let's move on to the next step. The metal furnace is also very simple. It is located underground and connected to a fan. He is using a cloth dipped in oil and lighting it. When the temperature is enough, ask him to put the metal scraps in. Look what these are. I see not a single metal is intact. All these metals are used goods, fragments of other metal parts. Is this a recycling factory? Two workers work together to bring the top of the furnace in, and large metal pieces that do not fit will be fired in the upper place after 49 hours of firing time. Looking at this scene makes me think of hell. Very hot and dangerous. After a while the metal was completely melted. He used a simple tool to scoop out the molten metal. Molten metal is poured into two molds and given time to cool. This part had to be extremely careful, so I saw him wearing a pair of safety shoes. Although the mold was still very hot, he used his bare hands to remove each mold. And he used a hammer to remove the excess soil on the outside because it was very hot, so the extra tool he needed was a long pair of tongs. With just a few hammer blows he was able to easily remove the excess metal stub. And here is a rough image of the piston. It was quickly attached to the lathe by the man. After turning it around and seeing that there was no problem, he moved on to the step of installing the lathe tool. This part of installing the lathe tool required extreme care. As you can see, he tightened the screws tightly. Bring the lathe close and the rotations begin. Layer by layer of the piston is easily shaved off by the knife. I always enjoy steps like this. He used a separator to measure the sample, then applied it to create grooves on the new piston. Is there any mistake? I think with his eyes and long experience there will be no problem. He was so careful that he measured again with a ruler. The first title on the piston was quickly completed. The size of the piston groove is also measured by him in a very simple way, that is, using the piston ring itself. The second and third grooves on the piston were also quickly completed, and their dimensions were similarly measured by the retaining ring. He used a piece of sandpaper to polish the surface of the 3 grooves. And he is showing us the results. The other end of the piston was also mounted on the lathe, and he performed internal turning first. Every sound, every piece of metal shot out. This scene was so perfect. Mark with a pen and measure again with a special roll run. Every piece of metal shot out. This scene was so perfect. He also used a nail to mark the drill bit. This step is known to almost anyone in the metalworking industry. And now mounted on the lathe and drill. This drilling work must be very careful. Just a small mistake and the first steps you put in will fall deep into the sea. Each drill bit from small to large. You can see our piston is almost done. Oh look, our piston is done. I bet it's ready to use. The retaining rings are also installed in every operation very easily and also carefully to avoid scratching the surface of the piston. Next, the crankshaft is also attached to the piston. He used quite a bit of force and is showing us the results. And finally the piston is inserted into the engine case. I feel like there is something missing, but I can't say. If you feel the same way, then comment below this video so I can send it to these guys. I think this is one of the simplest piston manufacturing jobs I have ever seen. Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to leave us a like and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next videos.